proposal along with the plan set are the two primary documents that the owner puts together to show the contractor what they want done. Proposals and the project booked change from project to project, and depending on the type of organization, whether it's public or private, they vary. In the case of our project, it is a federal aid project, and it is a federal aid project, and it's being managed by a local city. So as you go from place to place or look at different projects as a contractor, you'll see that there's a lot of similarity when you see a federal aid project, because the federal laws and regulations pretty well say what has to be presented. Now, even for a private project, you get the same type of information. The whole idea with the proposal and the plans is to make sure the contractor has all the information they need so that there are no questions, and therefore there can be few, if any, disputes during construction. So the idea with the project book is to have all the instructions that the contractor needs to build the job the way the owner wants it done. So you'll start out, and when you look at our project proposal or project manual, and I mix them up, they both mean the same thing. You start out with a cover page, and this basically says what the project is, the date that the book is issued, probably some information regarding location, and then who is issuing the project. Because this is a federal aid job, you'll also see that it has a federal aid number on it also. Most project manuals will have a table of contents. There's a lot of information. In this case, it's just showing the major segments. Hopefully sometimes you'll have page numbers, but this book really, or this page really, tells you all the different parts in a project manual, and we'll go over all these different parts as we go through the semester. The first and most important part, and the first notice you'll probably get for a project, is the advertisement for bid. And again, depending on whether it's public or private, federal and non-federal, you're going to see information in this bid that will be specific to a particular type of organization, but also, again, you'll see a lot of information that is consistent regardless of who issues this type of a project. Again, the idea is to let bidders know that there's a project out there and the rules you have to follow to make a bid. And this is a lot like a test. There's a lot of rules, and you have to follow them, or for the contractor, the worst thing that can happen is that a bid that you prepare may be disqualified and won't even be considered for award. So what you'll generally have is information about where and when a project is due, a project bid. In this case, you'll see the person that receives the bids, how the envelope has to be dated, and the time and date that a project bid must be bid. And generally, if you don't meet these basic first paragraph requirements, your bid may not even be opened. And if again there's someone else who doesn't follow the rules and their bid is open, you as a contractor have an opportunity to contest. The project description here includes some of the major items of work Again, you can look at the advertisement and determine if that project is up your alley and if you even want to spend any time on it. You'll see that there's information about where you may be able to see the contract documents. And what will happen is you'll see an advertisement, a bid, maybe in a newspaper or a construction business magazine, and you'll look at the ad, and then you'll also see that you can get plans. And the reason this is the case is because if you want a set of plans for yourself, if you're actually going to go ahead and bid, you're going to have to pay for them often. More and more in today's business world, you end up paying for plans, but also there are places where plans might be viewed, and you can look at them, determine if the project is what you want to do, and then if you do want to prepare a bid, you can go ahead and acquire a copy of the plans, either hard copy or on disc, which is very a way that many organizations do it nowadays. You'll also see information that'll talk about any qualifications you as a contractor need to have in order to bid on the job. And that's important because some projects want specific types of skills and they want you to be pre-qualified. In this case, this is a federal aid project, and you have to have a pre-qualification that's filed and determined by the Missouri Department of Transportation. We'll talk a little more about those later on, but again, this is information you need to know before you even say pay for a set of plans. Often, but not always, there's a pre-bid conference for a project. And again, sometimes they're mandatory and sometimes they're not. If they're mandatory and it'll listed in the ad, you must be there before you can submit a bid. If you don't, then your bid won't even be accepted, or it'll be opened and then declared disqualified. Even when a pre-bid conference isn't mandatory, it's always good practice to go and get information. You get to meet the project managers and the engineers who put things together. It's a chance to ask any and all questions that you have about the project. So it's always good practice to go to these. Another paragraph that will change, again, depending on who issues the project, where it's done, is you'll see that there are prevailing wage requirements or other requirements that you might have as far as the pay that you have to pay to your workers. This will be important, especially as we look at the estimating section in a few weeks, that it sets the minimum that you have to pay, and also any other requirements regarding wages and benefits for your workers. You'll see that you're going to, in this case, because it's a federal aid job, have to comply with affirmative action programs. And again, not only federal, most states and a lot of bigger cities and communities require affirmative action of some sort, and you have to verify. One of the other things you'll have to worry about in the case of this project, and it'll be the same for all federal aid jobs, is OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and making sure that your workers or workers that you have in the job have the 10-hour safety program documentation. And they'll have a card, your workers, that our inspectors will come out and ask for when they're checking the job. Our inspectors, not besides looking at the quality of the work and the quantities that are done, they also look at the wages, and they interview your workers about how much you're being paid, and then they also look to see that they meet OSHA requirements as far as training and safety. One last thing that you'll see on federal aid projects in particular, but all organizations who look for affirmative type action programs, is a DBE requirement, disadvantaged business enterprise. And what this will tell you is how much of the work has to be done by disadvantaged business enterprises, and you're going to end up looking for specific subcontractors that have this particular type of certification. And again, in this case, It'll be the highway department that provides the certification, or bigger cities do it also for their own programs. And you have to verify before a contract can be signed with you that you meet these requirements. Otherwise, you won't get the contract.